So this video is a continuation of the previous video. So please have that fresh in mind and then continue. So in all the three examples, you saw one common thing. We were packing tens or ones of the Barfi, 110 or three ones, and we were packing some fraction, which was 2/10. And in another example, there were 30, another 4, and a fraction of 25 by 100. And in the third case, it could be some tens, some ones, and another fraction again. It could be 5/10 or it could be 5/100. So now if somebody were to ask you how many burfis will you pack, you always say the number and you say the fraction. But let's put the whole numbers, that is the ones and the tens and the fractions together into one table. It would make it so easy. So we have always seen that we pack some number of tens, some number of ones of the burfi, and then when we have to cut the burfi into parts, we have cut it into 10 parts, taken one or as many as needed. We have cut it into 100 parts. So can I say from the on the left side from here, the one, the tens and the hundreds is being multiplied and being grouped together. And can I say to the right of this line, I am actually dividing, I can divide that one burfi into 10 parts or 100 parts, right? And then I can take as many as needed. So I'll put all of this into a table and let's see how we write the number. So in this table here, you see this, we start with a barfi here, of course, and when we group all of them into 10 barfis, of course, I can say it's a 10, and the 10 tens is of course 100. But you see, I have a point here, we call this the decimal point. So any number to the right of that will tell me how many parts of tenths or hundred. So let me show you. So now, of course, this is one barfi, but now on the right side, we have to cut it into 10 parts, or we have to cut it into 100 parts, which is 10 times 10 parts. So to the left is 10 times and to the right is 10 times of the division or breaking into parts. And of course, in the center, we have this decimal point here to tell us that on the left is the ones, tens, hundreds, and on the right, of course, is the tenths, the hundredths, which is the TH. So please note that these are hundreds, these are tens, and these are ones. But from here, the one is broken into 10 parts. It's a fraction. Therefore, we say tenths, TENTHS, HS at the end. We've done it before in fractions. And hundredths is, of course, hundredths, THS at the end. So there's a difference. So now let's fill this table with the number of burfis Mohan sold in the last few days. So here he sold 10 and 3, that's 13, and 2 tenths, as you see here. So I would say 1 10, 3 ones, and 2 tenths. So it's easy. I put a point here, as you see here. So that point helps me differentiate between the ones, tens, and of course on the right is the tenths. So even if I were to write 13.2, you must understand that point here, the decimal point. To the right is a fraction, which is 1/10. How many tenths? There are 2 tenths. And this is, of course, one whole. This is 1/10. And this is 1/10, which would be, I would say, of the size this much. So it's a fraction. So another day we saw 34 and 25 hundredths. So let's go back. So 34 would be 3 tens and 4 ones. Now 25 hundredths. We know that 10 of these hundredths, so 10 upon 100, of course, is the same. If I stick 10 of these together, I'll form this, right, which is a tenth. Therefore, 10 upon 100, which is 10 hundredths, plus another 10 hundredths, plus 5 hundredths is 25 hundredths. And I know this is 1/10, this is 1/10, 1/10 put together, and of course this will remain 5 hundredths. Therefore, I can always write this as 2 tenths and 5 hundredths. Or I can put straight away 25 here. So 5 and to the left 2 is left, so 25 hundredths. And here, of course, this is 50 and 2 and 5 tenths of 50 hundredths. Either way is the same thing. So I would write 52 and 5 tenths, or I can write 52 and 50 hundredths. Of course, we know that 10 of these small hundredths put together is 1/10, TENTH. And of course, we know that 10 of these put together is one whole, and 10 of these put together is 1/10. So towards the left, we are grouping things together, and towards the right, we are dividing. So of course, don't forget this decimal point here, which tells us to the right, we are using fractions of tenths, hundredths. So next time, if I write 138.4, or let's say for 6 burfis, then you know that it means 138 is ones, tens, and hundreds, and you know 46 here means 4 tenths and 6 hundredths, or it also means 46 hundredths. So towards the right is the fraction and towards the left is the wholes. So this whole thing we've learned is about writing numbers that have wholes and fractions. Fractions are very common. Things are broken into 10 parts, 100 parts. Of course, it could be broken into many parts, but we'll for now keep it 10 and 100, and we'll see further these decimal numbers, numbers that are a mix of wholes and fractions, and the way we write them in these tables.